and welcome to My Career in Data, a podcast where we discuss with industry leaders and experts how they have built their careers. I'm your host, Shannon Kim, and today we're talking to Niruta Talwekar from Meta.
With a robust catalog of courses offered on demand and industry-leading live online sessions throughout the year, the DATAVERSITY Training Center is your launchpad for career success. Browse the complete catalog at training.dataversity.net and use code DVTalks for 20% off your purchase.
Hello and welcome. My name is Shannon Kemp, and I'm the Chief Digital Officer at DataVersity, and this is My Career in Data, a DataVersity Talks podcast dedicated to learning from those who have careers in data management, to understand how they got there, and to talk with people who help make those careers a little bit easier. To keep up to date in the latest in data management education, go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Today, we are joined by Niruta Talwekar, the data engineer at Meta. And normally, this is where a podcast host would read a short bio of the guest, but in this podcast, your bio is what we're here to talk about. Oh, Niruta, thank you for joining us. Hello and welcome.
Hello, Shannon. Hope you are having a lovely day today.
Likewise. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. I'm excited to hear your story and hear how you got into this. But let me start first. So you're a data engineer at Meta. So in case somebody in the world doesn't know, what type of business is Meta?
Well, Meta is a global technology company. We are best known for some of the world's largest social platforms, including Facebook, Instagram, WhatsApp, Messenger, Threads also. We connect billions of people, and that's our scale. Beyond social networking, Meta also is a leader in artificial intelligence. We are invested heavily in AI research and infrastructure.
Oh, that's very cool. Side projects that people may or may not know about. So as a data engineer, what do you do?
So I work with the team called Experimentation Platform. So this team creates a platform to give teams ability to test their new products and features before they are launched to the millions of users. So in my role, I focus on architecting and optimizing these large-scale data pipelines that enables rapid experimentations. So we try to ingest a lot of data that is produced out of these experimentations and come up with the metrics and insights to analyze how good the product is when it will launch, which product group it should be launched to, and we help with all those sort of analysis. So my currently focus is also including metrics movement and then developing AI agents to help with the experimentation lifecycle.
Oh, very, very cool. So obviously you work with a lot of data in your job. So how are you working with it specifically? What kinds of data are you working with?
So data is like the heart of everything I do. In my role, working with data is just like a heart of everything that we do. So we design and maintain the pipelines that collect and curate massive amount of data, which is all related to the experimentation itself. Some of this is real time, some of them is to just make sure in batches and just to make sure that we get a clean, reliable information. And this information is very critical for the product launches. So we do a lot of cleaning, a lot of regressing over these metrics to actually produce this data. We also enable dynamic analysis using AI agents, just so we know that we have more accurate and more forward-looking information. It's just this all integration just allow us to innovate rapidly and just turn raw data into actionable insights.
Oh, that is very, very cool. And I love that you're working with a lot of agents, which I'm not surprised, given where you are. But it's that's very, very cool. Has it changed with the onset of agents and AI? I mean, I think Meta probably has been ahead of the game. Of course, as you say, Meta's been doing research in AI anyway. So, has it changed your role as a data engineer dramatically? Is it reducing or making your job more efficient?
AI has been really helpful, to be really honest, and this is my perspective alone. I feel like uh, we talk about AI changing, everything around us, right, starting from like jobs and expectations and everything. But I think this is a very expected curve that we have to take to progress further. The only thing that's different is velocity. Like if you think back like 10, 15 years, there was no data engineer role, right? We started as a data administrators, data architects. Those were like the basic data warehousing engineer was like the top of the cream. But then these changes happened slowly, so we had like enough time to adapt to these changes, to learn new skills, new technologies. With the AI, just the velocity is so high that it does help improve our day-to-day life, day-to-day work, but we have to adapt to that velocity, the changes that's been happening. So that's the only difference. But yes, AI has been very helpful in my day-to-day work.
Oh yeah, and mine too. And even though I'm not a data engineer, I will say it has definitely
Yeah.
benefited me very much so.
The one skill, just to add to that, is the one skill that has been helpful throughout my life is debugging. And I think this is going to be the best thing to look forward to when it comes to AI doing a lot of codings, because we have to accept the fact that AI is increasingly becoming good in coding. So the vibe coding is going to do much better as we evolve. So, but the one thing where human in the loop aspect stands, which is where we come in and actually do the debugging and actually verifying the code that AI has written. So I would suggest the one thing that I think I'm good at is debugging, and that has helped me a lot throughout my career.
Oh, very, very cool. Well, let's talk about more about how you got into your role and how you've evolved in your career. So tell me, going back to say when you're 6 years old, what
Oh,
was the dream? Did you say I'm going to grow up and I'm going to be a data engineer at Meta, or what was
uh,
the dream?
so I would say I knew that I wanted to become a data engineer, but definitely not when I started out. Again, when like going back to 6 years old, my dream was to become an lecturer. So I wanted to become a professor. Yeah. Uh,
Wow. What
yeah.
inspired that?
I used to see my dad. My dad was a teacher. He's a high school teacher, and I adored him a lot. And
Uh-huh.
I was fascinated with the impact he was making on the life of the students. And I wanted to do one up than what he was doing. So he was a high school teacher. I wanted to become a professor for like a university or so. I still enjoy teaching. I still enjoy speaking. So I do a lot of webinars and just sessions here and there, because that I still love that, and I feel very passionate with while doing so. But then it eventually changed. I think as I grew up, as I started getting understanding of what was happening around me, I feel like I knew that I wanted to become an engineer. I did not know what kind of engineer, but I knew like I would do something with the engineering background itself. As a very traditional stuff, like again, 20 years back, we did not have data engineers. So I started out as a software engineer. But if you remember back in 2010, 2012, that's when I graduated my undergrad. And Hadoop, the
You
big data
studied?
technology,
Yeah.
yeah, it was like flying. I was doing the best. That's when the most of the industry realized like the value that they can get from their data. So big data was like growing really fast,
Mm-hmm.
and I happened to do some of the training sessions in Hadoop, and then I realized, okay, this might be something that's really interesting. Again, even that time, my role still stayed as a software engineer, but I started doing more data work. Eventually, I thought if I have to be more specific to data engineering, then I need to do something more. I need to study more. And I ended up pursuing my master's from Georgia State University. So, Georgia State University actually ranks 10th in US for this course. So I was very lucky enough to get into that. I did my master's there, and then started actually doing data engineering as like my official title. And from there, it's just been a journey one after another. Um, And right now I'm here at Meta.
Oh, I love that. So when made you transition into start studying? So what did? So you said, so software engineering, your initial undergrad study.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
and then
So
yeah. So how
that
did you go from wanting to be a professor into like diving into software engineering?
I think it was just when I was doing high school. I think I got introduced to a lot of, like, we get to do like different career days, right? So I got introduced to medical field, engineering field, and all those things. Um, I am actually the first engineer in my family, so I did not had any background of how to get into this. So it was actually a challenge to
Sure.
evolve into this field. It was both exciting and meaningful, actually, but. When we got to know and I saw other people come and talk to us, I was like, okay, this is something that I think I can do.
Yeah.
It was, yeah, it was a shift. It was a lot of shift between like what I was earlier thinking into becoming an engineer. But I felt like this was it. This is something that I actually wanted to do. And I'm still very passionate about it. Like after a point in time in my vacation, I actually want to go back to working. That's like me after some point in time. So I really love what I do.
Oh, clearly it's coming through. I love that. And then I think it speaks to the value of career days, right?
Yeah,
Like you get to discover something you wouldn't have thought of otherwise.
never. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
It's it's very different from the way I grew up versus what is happening right now, because back then the information was scarce, but now we have utilized and processed data so much, and then availability of AI with everybody, and availability of internet with everybody. We have a lot of you know information flowing in our way, but then actually listening in from someone who is doing it is a different perspective, and there's the guidance and inspiration that you get from a live person. It's totally different and inspiring in nature. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Um, okay, so you've studied software engineering, and then you started working before you
Mhm.
decided to go get your master's, right?
Yeah.
So what was your first job? You said software engineer.
Yeah.
So what were you building?
So I was actually working with, it was one of the IBM tools called Maximo. Yeah, it was actually a tool to manage a lot of industrial processes, along with like managing assets and all those things. So it was very much looking into a one particular product domain, which I realized that is not something that I'm interested in. So I started, like, within the company itself, I started looking into some training sessions, and that's how I got into training into Hadoop.
Visit dataversity.net and expand your knowledge with thousands of articles and blogs written by industry experts, plus free live and on-demand webinars covering the complete data management spectrum. While you're there, subscribe to the weekly newsletter so you'll never miss a beat.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, and then is that when you decided to go back and get your
Master.
master's?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So then tell me about the transition from software engineer to a data engineer. When did that happen, and how and why did you make the transition?
This is my understanding. Like, if you look back for last 20, 30 years, every innovation that has happened, data is its backbone, right? Um, there are new products, but those products are actually bring value because the data it provides or the services it provides, and it all goes through to data. So I finally was able to realize how important it is, or how important it is for data to exist, and then how good data can, create ripple effect and cause good in general, while bad data can like result into bad decisions. We are seeing that with a lot of AI, where like we have to work through biases, like when we work with AIs and all the data that is get curated to train the model, biases like on everyone's top of their mind. So I was able to realize the importance of data, and I basically make sure that I do a lot of learnings. I did a lot of trainings, and I got involved myself. I got involved into a lot of organizations who were like data focused, and then that's when I decided to do my master's in this field. So my major is in big data technologies. Yep, and that's when I made the move. I think what changed as far as my day-to-day activities from software engineer to data engineer is because software engineer is very I was doing front-end software engineering, so I felt like it was a very closed domain. While I work with data, I think my domain itself has been like really wide now, because now I think of end to end. I think of user experience. I also think of the data that I'm getting, how raw the data is, and what value the data can provide. It's like even if we have goal A to work with, there are 100 different insights within that data that you can actually come up with. So um, it's just broaden stuff that I work with, and that's where I
Love
am
that.
right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like throughout your career that you have really seen something that I really want to go do that. But before you even do that, you go investigate. You train yourself. You go through training, whether it's your master's or other training.
Mhm.
Um, talk. You said you join groups to talk to
Yeah.
people.
Yeah,
Um,
I joined a
yeah.
lot of meetup groups to talk to people and say that I want to make this transition. I was very early in my career, like I had like 3 years experience on me. So making this transition was really easy, felt very natural for me. But then I also had an opportunity to talk to a group here who supports a diverse set of women to help, make their career. And they are the people who are coming from a completely different background, like publishing background, editing background or so, and they wanted to become a data engineer. So I've been mentoring them a lot, because since I have like this much experience on me, and I was like, how can I help them? I feel like it's just, unless and until you do something related to data, you wouldn't know how wonderful it is. And it's not that difficult, to be really honest. It's just we have to start slow, start understanding some fundamentals, and then understand the business along with it, and then go from there. Um, I've seen like almost a dozen people right now who is coming from a completely different background and has been studying data and has become like a data analyst or data engineer. And it's really fulfilling to see those people making career in STEM. But yeah, it's possible. I think you have to just get started.
I totally agree. We've seen some nurses who are, and they've decided that they're physically done, with the physical demands of nursing and want to change careers, but
Yeah.
they're not ready to retire. So we've helped getting them through into data management, which is,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, the one question that I generally get from them was like, they have done this particular career, like in this case, nursing for like, let's say 5 years, and now they wanted to change the career. So they feel like that 5 year experience is going to waste. I would say to them is that's not correct, because now you have a perspective that I don't. So you can look into the things, find those things in the data that I cannot. So no matter your background, I think there is always a space and there's always a work that you can do with data for sure.
Oh, there's a lot of data in healthcare.
Yeah, true. And I wouldn't understand that, to be really honest, because I have no understanding of the domain. I'll have to spend time to understand the domain.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so well, let's talk about that then. So what's been your biggest lesson so far in your career?
Uh, I think it's just adopting to the change. The expectations from the data has changed. So initially, we were just looking for the insights generation. Like when Hadoop came, we wanted to power these dashboards to give us an insights. Then machine learning became famous, and then we wanted to get the predictions. So it's just, and now AI has come into the picture, and it's like totally different. So I think my biggest lesson is to keep myself updated, work through adopting to these changes. Again, then one thing is how you adopt and how fast you adopt is something that's going to set us apart from everybody else. But then, yes, I think data is just changing every day. The expectations from data is changing every day. So we have to keep adapting to it.
Absolutely. So, having worked with data then most of your career, what is your definition of data?
Oof. Well, I talked about change a lot. So I would say there is no one definition. It's just like an horoscope. It changes every day. You wouldn't know unless you like just go into it and read it. So it's difficult. It's for me, I think it's difficult to set it into one definition. But I don't know if you've horoscope is an analogy that people want to
Oh,
enjoy,
it's
but
great.
yeah, but it changes so much. So it's
Yeah. Yeah. What used to, I mean, I guess you could narrow it down to ones and zeros, but, it used to be just, you know, customer information that we collected, right? But now
yeah,
it's images and, structured and unstructured and everything else that this
yeah,
conversation is data.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So tell me, do you see the importance of data management and the number of jobs working with data increasing or decreasing over the next 10 years and why? Especially with your experience with AI.
Hmm. I think next 10 years is a very big, very big
Yes.
period. Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, this reminds me, I actually did an article, published an article at the start of this year. So there was a lot of talk. My sister, she just graduated, and there was a lot of talk about AI getting our jobs. So, and we know that firing gets praise, but hiring does not, right? It's a bias. And then we have a lot of data regarding getting fired. So what I did is I actually went in and pulled up the data sets from US government websites and try to compare it as like how we are doing right now. I think one thing at that moment, this was done again at the start of 2025, things look pretty stable. Um, and felt like as far as job when it goes to hiring anything related to data was becoming more important. I could not come up with any numbers about whether it was increasing or decreasing, but at least the demand itself was high. So people were looking for more experienced people working in data or anything related to data. But one thing was for sure is the velocity of the change. So we have to we have to adopt ourselves with the changing nature itself. Um, and then I think if I have to like have a definite answer of whether the jobs itself is going to grow or shrink, I would say to every innovation, data is definitely the backbone. So the demand itself is never going to go down. So I would be really hopeful and really positive to see that the jobs would still exist for our data.
The human in the loop needs to be there as you
Yeah,
about.
yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Yeah. But maybe just in different ways. Yeah.
Different ways, yeah, yeah. Because there was no, we don't, do we see a data warehousing engineer anymore? Do we see data administrator anymore? We don't, right? We see data scientists, we see data analysts, we see data engineers. So this is going to keep changing, but the core is still data.
Absolutely. So, what advice then would you give to people looking to get into a career in data management? You've already given some already, and it sounds like you help those and give advice a lot. So, what's the key piece of if advice you'd give?
Um, well, if I was asked this question like a year or 2 years back, I would just say like learn SQL, learn Python, learn fundamentals, and all those things. But um, right now, I think it's very necessary for us to stick with basics, understanding like go back to the basics, like understand what data is, how data is stored, how data is processed, those kind of information. Don't worry about this layer of actually coding or generating insights from it. Just understand the basics of it. And and do a lot of hands-on experience, like gather hands-on experiences whenever possible. For me, something that has helped me to learn the most is doing hackathons. I'm a very very pro hackathon, because you get to learn in a very short period of time, and then you get to collaborate with a lot of other people. So if you want to explore technology, if you want to look into like what's happening new, I think joining a hackathon, being a part of hackathon as much as possible, would keep you updated. Yeah.
Oh, very nice. I love that. Oh, well, this has been such a pleasure, Niruta, to have you on here. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey, thank you so much for having me. Hope this was helpful.
It was so helpful. And if anybody wanted to learn more about Meta, where would they go?
If they wanted to learn from me, I'm available on LinkedIn, so they can find my link. But then it's very easy to find meta.com. And there are always people who can like support you, help to know more about Meta and all the opportunities that Meta has to offer.
That's awesome. Thank you so much. Oh, well, I really appreciate it. And again, thank you for taking the time.
Hey, no, thank you so much for having me.
And to all of our listeners out there, if you'd like to keep up to date on the latest podcast and in the latest in data management education, you may go to dataversity.net/subscribe. Until next time, everyone, stay curious. Thank you for listening to DATAVERSITY Talks, a podcast brought to you by DATAVERSITY. Subscribe to our newsletter for podcast updates and information about our free educational webinars at dataversity.net/subscribe.